DEI programs basically prevent us from going backwards to a time when white supremacy and white straight men ruled the law of the land.
Now, here we're talking about we're talking about white supremacy. Look, at the end of the day, like I said, I mean, I think for a lot of people, there's these emotional heartstring pulls that you can pull on, and black people were most susceptible to that. Listen, man, we got to stop letting Al Sharpton lead us. When I say us, I mean black people. Stop letting him lead us into nowhere land. Everybody's talking about DEI. Of course, everybody's mad at Walmart and Target and all these other companies that roll back DEI programs. This is foolishness. I'm going to tell you why.
It is Saturday. A lot of people doing their shopping, some of them specifically choosing Costco after other companies ditched their diversity, equity, and inclusion policy.
We're going to shop where we're wanted.
100 members of the National Action Network joined Reverend Al Sharpton to shop at Costco in support of the company's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Shareholders recently voted against a proposal to assess the risks.
This is not a boycott. This is a boycott, where we are buying into companies that are supporting DEI measures.
This comes days after President Donald Trump signed an executive order to get rid of DEI programs. Related documents on websites like the U.S. Office of Personnel Management are gone. An HBCU conference at Rutgers University, funded by the Department of Labor, was canceled. The president has also called for all federal DEI staff to be put on paid leave and eventually laid off.
DEI started to gain traction after the killing of George Floyd.
Now, that's a fact. Now, let's talk about Al Sharpton for a minute. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't done good work over his lifetime, but man, my man is just an ambulance chaser. Every time something comes up with DEI now, it's become a badge they're trying to put on black people. Now it's supposed to represent something that black people need to be up in arms about. So everybody's talking about, I'm going to boycott Target and Walmart, not even knowing that there are black brands in those businesses that are going to get hurt too if y'all start boycotting these things. And I'm not mad if you wanted to do it for another reason and support black businesses in general, but the distribution channels are not there, the manufacturing channels are not there. So people need to think twice when they start trying to boycott. And on top of that, honestly, it isn't going to make a difference. It's unfortunate that people don't realize the DEI policies, a lot of these policies are not even related to black people. And I'm not saying I'm mad at the other groups, you know what I'm saying? But other minority groups, sexual orientation, age, all these things are DEI. So I'm not angry about DEI. I think DEI policy in a lot of corporations is a non-factor, quite honestly. Economically, it's a non-factor. It doesn't change black jobs. You're talking about Walmart, Target, all these people. Actually, one of my first jobs was at Target, well over 20 years ago when I was a late teen. I worked at Target. Mad black people worked at Target. So Target has always had plenty of African-American employees, Spanish employees, all disabled employees. They always have, they always will. Same thing with Walmart. So these initiatives were done after George Floyd died, mainly because it was just something popular for corporations to do. Let's just keep it a buck. That's what it was popular to do at the time. It really has nothing to do with offering more opportunity to black people. These are generally low-paying positions for the most part. And even on the managerial level, I knew a lot of black managers who worked at Walmart and Target. So these aren't places that are all white male structured, Now on the top executive level, that may be another story, but that's the same thing across most companies. That's a whole nother issue. That has not a lot to do with DEI. But my point is that we got to stop running after people like Al Sharpton as black people, every time something comes up. This is just something else to keep him busy. He took plenty of money during the campaign with Kamala Harris at the time, amongst other people, to push these same narratives. And my point is that for the black community, it's not going to provide answers. It's not going to provide the answers that people think. And I think a lot of times emotionally, we just want to be able to do something. Oh, I'm boycotting something. I'm doing some type of action. But you know what? It's actually not doing anything.
Corporations came forward and said, we're going to do diversity. We're going to do this because race needs to be dealt with.
Recently, Amazon, Walmart, McDonald's, and Meta have all rolled back their policies. The latest company to ditch DEI is Target.
You know what I'm saying? It's just the emotion. And that emotion often doesn't provide answers. And that's why a lot of times as black people, I feel like we get caught up in it, and we just follow any type of movement that is supposed to be badged to us. I don't see any other groups, Latinos, Asians, Indians. I don't see anybody else who is quote unquote underrepresented in any of these companies march into any store talking about a boycott. Black people are the only people that now have the DEI badge. So looking at this right here, this is the median household income in the United States by ethnic group. Now, when you go down it, this is tough love or something that is maybe hard for people to take in, but it's the reality. So when you look at the top groups, this median household income, Indian Americans, Filipino Americans, Taiwanese, Sri Lankan, Japanese, Malaysian, Chinese, Pakistani, white, Korean, Indonesian, the average American, I don't know what that means, Thai American, Bangladeshi, Nepali, Hispanic, Latino. And at the very bottom, who is it? African Americans, black people in this country, median income at the bottom. Now, economically, why are we at the bottom? We can always have that conversation. That's a full spectrum of a conversation. However, again, one of the things that Al Sharpton and a lot of leaders on the left don't usually deal with, we don't deal with a lot of the issues that are really impacting our community. So how do we get those things in our community? How do we get the school or the hospital or the bank, right? How do we get those cornerstones of our communities? Now, we don't talk about our family structures. Those are things that typically somebody like Al is not talking about. Instead, we're marching to the store. Maybe he gave out these gift cards for Costco so they can go and shop and people can feel like, oh, I'm doing something to the system. You ain't doing nothing to the system. The real question is, if African Americans are at the very bottom financially, how do we start more businesses? How do we keep our family structures together? How do we make sure our children are at top reading level, not bottom reading level? How do we make sure our kids are extremely proficient at math, not at the bottom of math? How do we do those things? Because DEI doesn't solve these things. So now while we're running around being emotional about everything, we can't really solve the problems for our children. So, it's not a conservative versus liberal thing. I think where America's coming to now, it's about common sense versus non-common sense. Logic versus emotion. It's probably more logic versus emotion. And people like Al Sharpton, they are pulling at your emotional heartstrings. They are getting people to do things that really make no difference. Trust me, in 4 years, you can boycott Target and Walmart and all these places all you want. And honestly, this stuff isn't going to last, because anything emotional lasts for a little while. You can protest, tear shit up, whatever it is we wanted to do, but it doesn't change anything because there's no plan of action and they're not logical steps to really enhance the community. And also, most of this stuff isn't targeted, as far as the solutions, it's not targeted towards the black community. Most of these things just have the black community just doing stuff, doing things, feeling ways. And what are we really boycotting for? What's the plan? If you're going to boycott, then where do you plan to shop, right? If you're going to go shop somewhere else. And what about the businesses, like I said, that are already in those companies? So this is just a joke to me. And I think it's only been about 2 weeks with Trump in office, and I already hate the term DEI. I hate it.
So we are trying to prevent that pushback, which is clearly happening in this administration right now.
And this isn't the end to their call to action. Reverend Al Sharpton says over the next 90 days, they'll identify businesses who have abandoned those DEI policies and boycott them.
Stop wearing DEI as a badge. Black people, please stop it. Please, 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 because these aren't the answers. Trust me, in 4 years, when Donald Trump is done governing, black people will be in the same place financially. Trust me, it's not going to change anything. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I off point? Let me know what you think. Crucial Convo.